So we're going to start in seated, just wherever is comfortable. So cross-legged, if that works for you, awesome. But if you like kneeling better with blocks or something, you can do that too, because we're just going to start getting the body moving. Okay, so just settle in for a moment. And just bring those hips forward a little bit. Let the shoulders relax down and then sit up nice and tall. And then close the eyes. And just find the breath for a moment and just arrive. And just feel the ebb and flow of the breath. So there's this outward expansion with the body that naturally happens on our inhale, and then that's settling back in. Can we connect with this idea that it doesn't just go outward, but that it goes up and down as well? So as we inhale, imagine the breath going both up and down, not just up, but right as you're inhaling, it's moving down into the body towards the floor, towards the sitting bones, and it's going up towards the crown. And then as we exhale, it's all kind of slowly coming back down to center. Just rise and root, and it's coming back to center. So just kind of see if you can connect with that idea. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Just connect with the breath. And then keeping your eyes closed, on your next inhale, bring the hips forward, bring the heart and solar plexus forward. Draw the shoulders back and down, so squeeze the shoulder blades together a little bit, and then lift the heart and chin up for our seated cow. And then start with the hips, the sitting bones, start to let them roll back, and then the middle back, and then the upper back. And then that head is the last thing to tuck in, tucking that chin into our seated cat. Let's go back and forth with the breath. Keep the eyes closed if you can, to just tune in to this movement. So inhaling as you open up the front side of the body, and exhaling as you open up the back side of the body. And so, yes, we're getting the spine for sure, but we're also getting the hips, the shoulders, the neck. It's why we do it so commonly. We teachers do cat and cow so often in the beginning of our classes, is because it's just a good way to start to get the body moving, because it touches so many parts. All right, the next time you inhale, just come up to a long spine, softly open those eyes, bring that right arm up, reach on up. So keep the arm away a little bit so you've got some space, and just reach straight up if you can. Take a nice inhale and exhale, come on over to the left, and then right back up, inhale and exhale. So just going back and forth, kind of the same thing, right? The same idea that we were working with in our cow and cat is just coming into the stretch, feeling it, coming back out, getting all the way down to that right hip if you can. So coming on over into your side bend so far that you're getting all the way down into that hip. All right, the next time we're going to hold it. So the next time you come over, keep that arm away a little bit. Use that left hand to push into, to push the right ribs over to the right and root down into that right hip. And then bring that left shoulder down towards the floor. Don't let your right shoulder roll forward. Keep it open. Just see where you can go. And the head can be wherever it feels comfortable. You can turn your head to the right. You can look down at your hand, whatever works. And then reach through the fingertips. Take a nice inhale. Engage the core as you lift up. Reach up that left arm. Nice inhale. Again, it's away from the head a little bit. Exhale, come on over into your side bend. And again, just go back and forth with the breath, inhaling out of it and exhaling into it. So if you're ever practicing any of this stuff, next time we come into our side bend, come on and stay there. Use that right hand, open up that shoulder. Again, keep that arm away a little bit as you explore the depth of the twist. Bring that right shoulder down. Push into that right hand to push those left ribs over and root down into that left hip. And then maybe the arm comes a millimeter closer, maybe not. So if you're ever doing any of this stuff at home and you kind of don't know what to do with the breath, think about the fact that when the ribs are being squished or squeezed, we want to be exhaling to create space for that squish to happen. Slowly come on up and release. Inhale into cow. Exhale, cat. And let's switch legs. So if you're in cross-legged, bring that other leg in front. If you're in kneeling, obviously you don't have to worry about that. Let's go for 3 cow and cats just to get these hips resituated. It doesn't seem like much of a difference when we cross our legs, but it does change the positioning of the hips subtly based on what leg is in front. So just working with a couple cows and cats just to get those hips moving in this position. All right, and then we'll go in for our first twist. So nice inhale, get tall, and exhale, twist to the left. Use that right hand to push against that knee to help you push open into your twist. Keep that head right above the center of the hips. You're still sitting up tall. Close those eyes for a moment as you explore this twist. Roll that left shoulder open. And you're using that left hand to kind of help you open that shoulder. And come on back. Reach that left arm up. Nice inhale. Exhale, come on over into a side bend. Keep going. A little more. And come on up. Inhale, get tall. And exhale, twist to the right. So same thing, finding that push and pull dynamic, making sure you're staying right over center, right over those hips as you explore opening that right shoulder. Keep that breath going. And come on back to center. Reach that right arm up. Nice big inhale. Exhale. Come on over into your side bend. Keep going. And come on back up. 1 cow and cat. Nice inhale. And exhale. And if you're in cross-legged and your hips and knees can do this, you might be able to just kind of push up and roll forward. That's a lot for some of us, so you might not be able to do that. So however you can get around to tabletop. And if you're in kneeling, it's really easy to get into tabletop. So once you're in tabletop, let's shift those hips from side to side, from left to right. All right, coming back to center. Sorry about the throat clearing, it always happens this early in the morning. Push on up, draw the belly in, stretch that left leg on out behind you. Draw the belly way up into the spine from the below the belly button all the way up to the heart. Pull it all up and in. Press that right foot into the floor as you stretch that right arm out. Reach through the toes, reach through the fingertips, and push away from the floor as you gaze inside the thumb. Keep that belly pulling in so you don't stress out the back. On the inhale, take the left leg out to the left and take the right arm over to the right, so you're going out to the side. Pause, push away from the floor, cross over. So cross the arm over center, cross the foot over center. If you want a little bit of a balance challenge, try looking over that right shoulder. Inhale out to the side. How far out to the side can you bring that leg? Pull the belly in, feel the hip, cross over. Inhale out. Exhale over. And the next time you cross over, bring that right hand down, cross that foot over even further if you can. Get it as far over to the right as you can. Tuck the toes and plant those toes on the floor and curve around to look at that foot. Breathe. And lift that leg up. Stretch it out to the side, all the way over to that left side. Might need to inch over a little bit. And inch that foot forward a little bit. Turn the toes forward. And then bring that left hand into center and open up that right arm. Push away from the floor. Reach for the ceiling. And pull that left hip down until you start to feel that inner thigh a little bit. Nice inhale. Exhale, come through underneath that arm like you're gonna lay down on your shoulder. Maybe you can touch your shoulders to the floor, maybe not, and open right back up. Inhale. Exhale, sweep through. Reach to the left like you're gonna touch your toes, those left toes. Inhale. And just go back and forth at your own pace. You have to bend that left elbow, obviously, to get down there. Okay, so if it's early, it's way, way early, our shoulders are not warmed up. So if you are tight in the shoulders, you might want to go to the elbow as we open up that left arm. But if it feels okay, you can see if you can land on that shoulder. If that's too much, then stick with the elbow as you open up that left arm. Push away from the floor with that right arm as you pull open with that left arm. See if you feel like your head is in line with center. Oh, that's a nice shoulder stretch. And the breath. And bring that left hand back down to the floor. Push on up. Slide that knee back in underneath you. Nice inhale into cow. Exhale, cat. And back to center. Push on up. Get strong again. Let me think. I switched legs so I could be in mirror image. So it's the left leg? No, right leg. Left arm. I don't know. The other one. Let's see. Let me think. I was here. It was left leg, right arm we did last time. So right leg, left arm. Right leg, left arm. I'm pretty sure. I hope. And yes, that is it. All right, pull that belly way on up in from the below the belly button to the heart. Reach from the toes to the fingertips, gaze inside the thumb, and push away from the floor. You almost want to feel like you have a little mini cat in the back. You don't, it's flat, but it almost feels like it because you're pulling that belly away from the floor so much. All right, let's take it out to the side and hold it. So stretch that arm out to the side, stretch that leg out to the side. Maybe look over the shoulder and see if that leg is straight out from the hip or if it's dropping. Breathe, core, cross over. And then stretch it back out, inhale. Exhale, cross. Use that breath, use that strength. So when you bring that leg out to the side, it requires core and hip strength. The further you go, the more you can work that. Make sure your back is doing okay with that. All right, the next time you come over, cross over, bring that left hand down, look over that left shoulder and keep going. Bring that right foot over to the left as far as it will go. Tuck the toes, plant that foot down, and then curve around. See if you can make a C shape out of the body. Not even close, right? Think of from the hip to the shoulder at least. Draw the belly in, lift that leg back up, take it all the way over to the right. Inch it forward a little bit. Get those toes aiming forward. And bring that right hand in. I know that right wrist might be a little crabby. We'll give it a little love in a minute. Open up that left arm. Nice inhale. Exhale. So my hand is not forward enough. I'm going to move that right hand forward. So if you feel like your right hand is kind of in the way of you being able to sweep through and underneath, then maybe move it forward a little bit. Okay, so sweep through, see how low you can go. Inhale back up. And exhale through. One more time. The next time you sweep through, come to wherever you went to on the other side. So the elbow is great. And when you get that right arm open, give that poor right wrist a little love as you open into your twist. And if you went down onto the shoulder, and give that a try on this side. Finding the breath wherever you end up. And let's come out of it, plant that right palm down, push on up, bring that knee back in underneath you. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat, and downward facing dog. Come on up, pedal those feet. Rock those hips. Find some movement here. There's no right or wrong. As you know, whatever feels good. All right, let's press back into a nice solid down dog. Feel that nice stretch. Draw those heels down. The legs might not straighten, that's okay. If you want a really good ankle stretch and calf stretch, keep a bend in the knees as you draw. Push the hips back and draw the heels down. So drawing the heels down while you have a bend in the knees gets a really nice stretch for those calves and ankles. Let's get the shoulders strong. So the bottom inside edge of the shoulder blades. Try to kind of draw that V. So we're opening up the tops of the shoulders away from each other as we draw the bottom inside edge of the shoulder blades together. And let's shift forward, drop those knees down into extended child's pose. Go ahead and lift those hands up if you want to and push those wrists forward if that feels good. Otherwise, you can just let the hands rest down. They don't need to be lifted up. Maybe you lift them up for a breath or two and then bring them down. And if those fingertips, if those hands are lifted up, go ahead and bring those hands down. Let them rest down. Stretch those arms on out long. Pull those hips back. Find the breath here. Let the head relax. Soften the jaw. Let the belly relax. And take a nice deep breath all the way down into the belly. See if you can touch the hips, like the bowl of the hips, if you will, with your breath. All right, let's lift back up to downward facing dog. And let's get those railroad track feet. So you've got the feet about 6 inches apart or so. And then push on back again. Draw the heels down, straighten out the legs as much as they'll go. They might not be all the way straight, that's okay. I'd rather have the arms straight. I'd rather have you be able to push back than have the legs straight. So maybe there's a soft bend in the knees because it's still a little early in our practice and we need a little more time to warm up. Find the breath, draw the belly into the spine. There's a subtle little tiny tuck of the tailbone. So we're not sinking in, we're not dropping into the shoulders like we're engaging the shoulders, right? But we don't want to be extending into them right now. All right, let's bend those knees if they're not already. Look forward and walk those feet to the front. Keep that space in between the feet. Half lift, inhale, straighten out those legs, that spine, and hinge. Pivot those hips forward. Again, there can be a very, very soft. You can soften the knees a little bit. They don't have to be hyper straight. You want them mostly straight. Draw the shoulders back, but they don't have to be perfectly straight. Pull the shoulders back, pull the heart forward. Keep that heart space open from the front of the shoulders is all open. They're not collapsing together. Bend the knees, bring the hips down. See if you can get the hips right behind the knees and lay down on the thighs. Okay, and stretch those arms forward alongside the ears. So you're gazing in between the big toes as you stretch it out. So reach from the sitting bones to the fingertips. Find the breath. You want to feel the whole foot. You want to be light in the toes. So find Padasana in those feet as much as you can. You might feel a little more weight in the heels than you do in the front of the foot. That's okay. Lift the hips up a little so you can interlace the hands behind you. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and press through those knuckles. And then drop the head. Keep that bend in the knees as you lift the arms away from the body. So if you're really tight here, your elbows might be bent. You might not get those arms straight. That's okay. You can still work on seeing if you can get those arms away from the body a little bit. Finding the breath. And bring those hips back down. Sweep those arms forward so they're kind of parallel with the floor, palms facing each other. Draw the belly in as you lift up off the thighs into Utkatasana. Knees are right over the toes. Lift up and see if you can get those shoulders to be a little bit more over the hips so you're not leaning forward so much. And see if you can stay low. See how low you can go. Lighten the toes, so the weight is in the foot, not the toes. Draw the belly in again and see if you can lift those arms up. Breathe wherever you're at. Nice and slow. Come up. Usually jet up out of this. Let's go up slow. Reach for the ceiling. Reach for the sky. Draw the arms back and lift the heart. Gaze up. Inhale. Exhale, release the arms down along the sides. And then bring the hands to the heart. Draw the shoulders back and down. Stand up tall. See if you can bring the hands into the heart center and press right into the heart and feel the beating of the heart. Inhale up. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bend the knees. Step that left foot back to low lunge. So get nice and low, nice big step back. Take a moment to wiggle that foot back a little further if it needs to. Want to try and get our right hip down as low as the knee. So that right hip is right behind the knee. It's not any higher than the knee, if you can get there. Come on up to fingertips. We don't even need those hands, right? If you're solid in your feet. So maybe you're not quite on railroad tracks. Maybe that front foot needs to go over to the right a little bit more so that you can feel a little more solid. Lift the back knee up. Reach the heel back. Lengthen through the top of the head, the crown. And see if you can bring those hands off the floor if they're not already, and interlace behind you again. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Press through the knuckles. Lift the arms away, just like we did a moment ago. Find the breath. Drop the knee down. Float the arms up. Push back a little bit so your hips almost over the knee, not quite. Belly button to heart pulls to the wall behind you to wake up the front of that hip. Get your gaze, your drishti, and keep pulling back from belly button to heart as you sink into it. So we're not just letting the chest and the heart pop forward, we're pulling them back, keeping that core engaged as we sink into it to get a more effective stretch in the front of that hip. Maybe you can reach through the fingertips and lift the heart up to the sky. If not, that's okay. Nice inhale, exhale, fingers to the floor, let that back foot rest down. Plant that left palm down and open that right arm up. Push away from the floor, reach for the ceiling, and pull that arm open. See how far it'll go. Might go further than you think. Breathe. Slowly release. Come back to center, back up to fingertips, and walk the fingertips back. Use your blocks here if you have them at home. One block in each hand, especially if you're tight in those hamstrings. So, all right, walk those blocks back or fingertips back until you can get that right leg pretty much straight. Square off the hips so if that left hip is kind of twisting forward, bring it back. So you've got these nice square hips, and then pivot those hips forward. Reach through that right sitting bone. Shoulders back. Front side of the torso is open. It's not collapsing in. Find your breath wherever you end up. We're going to be playing around with some Warrior 3 stuff in a little bit, so I want to get these hamstrings a little open. And bend that knee. Scoot your blocks forward if you're using them. Tuck those back toes under and lift the knee up and just hop it forward from there. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, hinge. And all the way up, inhale. And exhale to the heart, bend the knees. Draw those knees right over the toes. So it's this kind of hands to heart chair. Draw the belly in as you sink down. Keep going. How low can you sink down? You might feel like you have to reposition the feet. My feet felt like they weren't in the right place for my knees to go right over the tops of the feet. We don't want the knees collapsing in towards each other. So as you're coming forward, those knees are coming straight forward over the tops of the feet. Okay, and you feel that whole foot on the floor. You might be a little heavy in the heels, that's okay. You almost want to feel like you're going to fall backwards, that you're sitting up so much as you sink down. Inhale up. Exhale, dive, forward bend. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, bend those knees. Take that right foot back to your low lunge. Square off those hips. So if that left hip is, or sorry, that right hip is pulling back, pull it forward. Take a moment to reposition here. Bring that left hip down as low as that knee so you have that nice straight line almost from your knee to your hip. Come on up to fingertips. Lift that back knee up. Press back through that heel and sink down, lengthening from heel to crown. Find the breath there. And then reach up, bring those arms behind you. Interlace again. See if you can switch the interlace to that funky feeling grasp. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Press through the hands and lift the arms away. Find the breath. Gaze is inside the foot. Can you keep Padasana in that front foot? So that triangle where you feel the weight evenly on all points of the triangle. Slowly float that knee down. Release the hands, sweep them up, push back. Keep those toes tucked for a moment. And I always have to, this side is a little harder for me to keep the hips square. I lean over to the right when I've got my right foot behind me. So I have to take a little more time to focus on getting those hips square. Belly button to heart, pull it back, and then sink into it. Keep pulling back through the torso, through the spine. And then maybe that heart lifts. Maybe those arms go back a little bit. Listen to your body. Nice inhale. Exhale, slowly release for our twist. Plant that, let that back foot rest down now. Right palm plants, left arm opens up. Push away from the floor, reach for the ceiling, and pull that left arm open as far as it will go. Breathe. And slowly release. Grab those blocks if you have them up on the tall side. Walk them back towards the hips until you can straighten out that right leg. And pivot those hips forward. Reach through the tailbone, reach through the sitting bones. Open up those shoulders so don't let them collapse. Keep that breath going. Notice how this side feels compared to the other. And bend that knee. Walk those blocks forward. Tuck those back toes under, lift the knee up, take a nice inhale, and exhale, spring it to the front. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, hinge. And all the way up into the heart. All right, let's get the inner thighs open a little bit. We don't need them super open, but I want them open a little bit for our twist and some of the stuff we do in those warrior threes, because it's all kind of attached. Like one of our hamstring does kind of come up into the inner thigh a little bit. So let's get that opened up a little. Nice big inhale up. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, half lift. Ooh, you know what? Bend the knees and scoot your feet all the way together. So they're all the way together. Big toes are touching, heels are touching, knees are squishing in together. So push those knees into each other. Everything from the big toe to the ankle to the knee to the inner thigh are squeezing that center line. Then bring those hips down, back to where we were. Lay on those thighs. Gaze at your big toes. Interlace those hands behind you. It's a little balancy with these feet together. See if you can go to the funky feeling grasp. Oh, sugar plum. That's what I forgot to do in our lunge. Well, we're going to do it right now. So we've got that reverse grasp, and we're going to stretch through those hands and lift the arms away so our shoulders get the stretch they missed in that lunge. Then lift the hips a little. Keep your gaze at your big toes so you don't fall over, and lift those arms away from the body. Now, for those of you that want a balance challenge, you can take your gaze in between your calves or to your calves or your shins, if that's available. And if you're flexible in the hamstrings, you can lift those hips a little. That is not for everybody. Most of you are going to have to keep a nice bend, or many of you anyway. You'll have to keep a nice bend in the knees. Bring those hips back down, draw the belly in, sweep the arms forward, straight forward, and find your Utkatasana. Come back, bring those shoulders back over the hips. Oops, forgot to turn off my phone. So we're not diving forward and sticking our butt out. It's like we're literally trying to get our sitting bones aiming down towards the seat of the chair and sitting up in our chair. Breathe. Now, keep that core going. Knees are pressing together as you float those arms up alongside the ears. Inhale. Exhale, dive it back down, fingertips to the floor. Straighten those legs as much as you can, so half lift, and then hinge. Bend the knees, step that left foot back, open those toes to the side, rise on up. Okay, so just take a moment. You should be fairly in line, heel in line with arch, but just take a peek, make sure it's there. Open up that knee, that right knee. Open it to the side. You want to feel that weight in the outside of the foot. And then open that left hip. Only as much as the knee will let it. So you want to feel this knee pushing that way to the wall behind us. And then you want to feel this hip opening up to the wall in front of us. So they're kind of peeling away from each other. The other way you can think about it is your right inner thigh is opening. They're like a door, like double doors, opening away from each other. So the left inner thigh is trying to open that way and the right inner thigh is trying to open that way. Kind of think of it like that. And then see if you can sink that left hip down at all. Just take it into, again, we're just trying to open up through that left inner thigh a little bit. Keep that right knee open. All right, let's make it fancy. Float those arms up. Draw the belly in as you reach out through the fingertips and breathe. And warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. And of course, we might as well reverse it. Let's go ahead and straighten that leg. We're doing a lot of quad stuff today, so we can do a reverse triangle instead of a reverse warrior. Stretch it out, open, roll that left shoulder open. Keep that left shoulder in line with the left hip as you slide those left fingertips down the leg and find your side bend. Maybe you can go a little further, breathe. Stay here and slowly bend that right knee into our reverse warrior. Bring it down to the hand on the thigh first. Start to draw those right ribs towards the thigh. Sink that left hip down. See if you can find the elbow. Those of you that can go deeper, feel free to go further towards the floor as you sweep that left arm alongside the ear. Spin towards the floor. Plant that left palm down. Spin on that back foot. And then inch that right foot out of the way so you can step back to plank. Inhale, push up. Exhale, knees down, lie down. Cobra on your inhale. And down, tuck those toes, get those big toes nice and tucked. Push straight up, nice big inhale. And push those hips back to the heels, stretch it out. And lift on up to downward facing dog. Pedal the feet, rock the hips. Whatever feels good here, maybe lift legs. And let's walk it to the front of our mat. Feet together, knees together. Utkatasana. Chair pose. Think all that stuff I yapped at you about last time. Weight in the heels. And again, with control, up slowly. Hands to the heart. Inhale up. Exhale, hinge. Pivot those hips, get that nice stretch in the legs. Bend the knees, step that other foot back. Right foot, I flip from side to side, so I get confused. All right, let's check our alignment again. Get that left knee open. Find that Padasana on that foot. And start to think about that, those double doors, those French doors opening from center, right? So that left thigh is going this way, that right thigh is going that way. And then we're sinking down into that right hip as we open the left knee to try and get into that inner thigh. Take a moment with that. Keep that Padasana on that front foot. So what happens is we collapse too much on the inside of the foot. So keep some weight in the outside of that foot as you explore this. Float those arms up when you're ready. Draw the belly in, stand up tall, and reach out through those fingertips as you keep that front knee open. Keep those toes light. You should be able to wiggle your front toes. And then go ahead and drop that right arm down, straighten that front leg, and find your side bend. Slide those right fingertips down the leg. Keep that right shoulder open. And keep going, keep that breath going. Breathe. Slowly bend the left knee. Use your core to lift you out of it till you can find that hand on the thigh. Open up as you start to sink those ribs towards the thigh. Keep that nice straight line from the right armpit down to the ankle. And see if you can find that elbow, or even lower if you came lower on the other side, and find your side angle. Stretch it out. Breathe. And windmill that arm down to the floor. Plant that hand on the floor. Step that foot back. Plank. Inhale, push up. Exhale, knees down. Let's go nice and slow on this one. So push your collarbone as far away from the floor as you can. Bend your elbows just a little bit and push your collarbone away from the floor with your elbows bent. That is the dynamic that you want to work on as you slowly lower down to the floor. You're trying not to let that collarbone collapse down before the shoulders do. It's hard. That's why we call it a practice. Nice inhale up and exhale down. Tuck those toes. Push straight up. Nice big inhale and exhale. Push those hips back to the heels. Stretch it out. Bring it up to down dog when you're ready. All right, let's walk those feet forward. Feet together, knees together. Bring those hips down again, nice and low. Hands to the heart. Twist to the left. Okay, so if you can get the elbow there. So what happens here is the knees end up getting pushed over to the side. Don't let that happen. Keep them right over the feet. So you're pushing that left knee into that elbow. A, to give you leverage for your twist, but B, also to keep those knees over the ankles as you twist. Find that breath. It's a similar stretch as we got in that thread the needle if you came all the way down onto your shoulder before. Back to center. Other side. Push the knee against the elbow for your twist. Try and get your head. Also, when you push against the outside of that knee, you're trying to get your head back in line with center so you're not hanging out over that right thigh. Breathe. How are those thighs doing? Back to center. All the way up, nice and slow, 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 slow. You're not gonna be able to see me, I'm getting cut off. And let those arms float down along the sides. All right, we're gonna take that twist into a lunge. So we're gonna stay in our twist when we step back into lunge. Inhale up. Exhale, dive it down, forward bend. Bend the knees, lay back down on those thighs. Lift up a little, hands to heart. Let's go to the other side first this time. So twist to the right, find your twist. Open it up. Then take your gaze back down to the floor for balance. as you step. When you step this foot back, you have to step out to the side a little bit because we're at center. So you're not, don't want to step back. You actually want to step out to the side a little bit. You're going to be like right near the edge of your mat as you step back with that, as I almost fall over, that left foot. You might have to wiggle it back a little bit to get low enough. And then push back open into your twist. Sink into that right hip. Find your breath. If that left knee has to drop down, oh well, let it. Go ahead and float that right arm up. Reach for the ceiling and see if you can open it up anymore. And bring it to center, fingers to the floor for balance. Drop that back knee down. How is that right thigh feeling? And I'm a little too close to center here, so I'm going to scooch that right foot over. So when I stepped back, I didn't step back quite far enough or out to the side enough. So make sure your left knee is on one track and your right foot is on the other, and sink into those hips. Just lay right on that thigh and let the body sink down. All right, let's push those hips back into our Ardha Hanuman. Grab those blocks. If you're using them, find that stretch. Nice square hips. And of course, if you don't need the blocks, then nix them. Pivot those hips, find a stretch. All right, we're hopping forward this time. So come on forward, tuck those back toes, float that back leg up. Keep that, am I in mirror image? Yes, I am. So square off that left hip, reach through, come on up to fingertips and reach through those toes. Keep that right knee bent as you lengthen through that back leg. And then push away from the floor and lengthen through the crown. Gaze at your right big toe. And then grab blocks if you have them on the low side. So you flip them down a little bit and then press up till you can straighten that right leg all the way and keep your left hip square. So some of you, if you're flexible or have long arms, may not need the blocks. Reach through the heel now instead of the toes. Draw the belly in, float that right arm up. Find the breath. And then float that other arm up into our warrior three. And my hip, my right hip is saying, or my left hip is saying, reposition. So if you're feeling like that's too much, you might have to bend that right knee again to be here. And I've got to bring the arms along my sides today. I'm tired. And fingers to the floor. Hop that back foot down, open the toes to the side, rise up, warrior two. Sink into it and reverse it. You can do reverse triangle with the legs straight or bent, it's up to you. Open it up, find your stretch, find your breath. And side angle. And we're throwing in Vashisthasana this time. So float that left hand down to the floor, plant it, roll to the outside of that left foot, and then float that right leg back into Vashisthasana side plank. Push away from the floor, reach for the ceiling. If you can't stack your feet, then bring that left foot in, or that right foot in front, or even behind. If you really need it, if you need stability here, you can bend that right knee and put it on the floor behind you if you need to. Come on around to plank. Push up, knees down. Again, think of that collarbone pushing away from the floor as you bend your elbows and bring the whole torso down all at once. How many of you let the hips hit first? Knees, chest, chin, hips come last. Hard. Inhale. And exhale, tuck the toes. Push straight up, nice big inhale. And push those hips on back to those heels once again. Stay here for a breath or two, or come on up to downward facing dog. Or maybe even dolphin if you want your shoulders to get a little extra stretch. Find the breath wherever you're at. And let's all meet in down dog if you're not there already. Stretch it out, push it on back. Draw that belly in, sink those heels down. It's starting to feel a little different than it did earlier. Maybe, maybe not. Bend those knees, walk it forward. Feet together, all the way, all the way, all the way. Knees together. Whoop, Tadasana. Find it, breathe into it. Love it, love it. I know we did a lot of this last week. Nice inhale. Exhale, hands to the heart. Dive on down, twist to the left. Push it open. Take a moment, find your twist. And then gaze down at the floor. As you step that right foot back, step it out to the side a little. Maybe even scoot your left foot over a little so you're on your railroad tracks. And then find your twist again. Keep that breath going. Keep that back knee lifting up. Pressing back through that heel. Float that left arm up. Open it up if you can. And slowly release that hand down. Do we drop the knee down? I know we did Ardha Hanuman. What did we do in between? We must have come forward, right? I forgot what we did. Yes, we came around and laid on the thigh. That's what we did. Let that back foot rest down. Lay on that left thigh and just sink into it. Just let that right thigh drop towards the floor. If your left knee goes past the ankle a little bit, that's okay. But if the knee is way over the foot, then scooch that left foot forward a little bit. All right, grab those blocks if you're using them for your Ardha Hanuman, half monkey pose, as you push those hips back and find your stretch. I think all that stuff I've yapped at you about a couple times already. Keep that breath going. And bend that knee. Tuck those back toes. Lift that knee up. Take a nice inhale and exhale. Hop it forward. So again, grabbing those blocks, flipping them down on the low side now if you're using them. Bring that right hip down. Find that squareness first. Find the integrity of the pose. So if you're not using blocks, you're kind of just using the first 3 fingers and you're pushing away from the floor or the blocks. We're not trying to sink into them. We're pushing away from them as we find those nice square hips. Reaching through the toes for a moment. And then start to straighten that left leg as much as you can. Now reach through the heel and stretch that left arm forward. Reach through the heel to the fingertips. Find that breath. See if you can float that right arm up. It's funny, this is my weak leg and I can do it so much better on this side. It's so weird. I'm gonna bring my arms along the sides though, because that's what I did on the other side. And drop that back foot down, open the toes, rise up. How does that left hip feel? Open that knee, warrior 2. And reverse it. Stretch, whatever you did on the other side. And side angle. And bring that right hand down to the floor, plant it. Slide that left leg back to your Vashisthasana. Vashisthasana. And controlled around to plank. Let's do chaturanga and up dog this time. So shift forward onto your toes. Bend the elbows. Whenever you feel like you can't hold yourself anymore, stop right there and flip those feet and push on up to up dog. Core lifts those hips to downward facing dog. Flip those feet when you need to. And press it on back. Stretch it on out. And bend those knees. Walk those feet back to the front again. Feet together, knees together. Yes. Uttanasana. All the way up into the heart. All right, let's let those hands come to the hips. Shift over into that right foot. and lift that left knee up. Just lift the left knee on up. See if you can reach down and grab it and pull it in, knee to chest. And then bring it back down so the knee is right in front of the hip, and see if you can open it to the side. Almost like a tree, but the foot is away from the inner leg. So pull that right hip in. Get that outside of that right hip strong so that all those gluteal muscles are engaged. Your gluteus minimus way up here on the top of the hip, and your medius right in the middle. And then all of them, all three of them. So you feel that outside of the hip really strong as you open up that knee. Maybe that right arm can float up. Maybe you can reach down and grab the big toe and do it here. Maybe you can kick that leg out straight. That's a lot. So wherever you can be, let it be perfect. Bring it back to center, whether the knees bent or extended. Inhale, reach up, get tall. Exhale, release, and float that foot back behind you. Dive forward, warrior three. Have a block ready. Float that left hand down to the floor. So those of you, you might not need block, you can use your fingertips. If you need a block, grab your block. It's on the low side if you're using a block. So we've got stability. Okay, there's a bend in the right knee. Let's bring that hand in towards center a little bit. So we've got some room to twist. And slowly keep your drishti as you start to twist open to the right. That left hip is gonna drop down a little bit, and you're gonna feel that stretch in the outside of that right hip. So listen to the outside of that hip. Maybe you can take the gaze to the side into this revolved half moon. And let's take it open to half moon. So switch, bring that right hand down, switch your block, open the left arm. How many of you just fell over? I almost did. Reach through the heel, open up. And yes, one more. Warrior two, drop that back foot down, open it up. Reach, sink, stretch it out, and reverse. And side angle. And plant that left palm down, open up to the right, into Vashisthasana. If you want to come into five-pointed star, feel free. And around to plank. And work your way through however you want to get there. So maybe it's knees, chest, chin, and cobra. Maybe it's chaturanga and up dog. Eventually meeting and downward facing dog. Stretch it on out. The good news is we're almost done. We get to rest soon. And bend those knees, walk it back to the front. Feet together, knees together. One more time. Up into Utkatasana. All the way up, inhale. Exhale, let the arms float down along the sides. Give those shoulders a little roll. All right, let's shift into that left foot. Take a moment. Float that right foot up. Or no, we're going knee to chest first, sorry. Reach down, grab that right knee. Pull it on into the chest. Straighten out that left leg. Stand tall and strong. Pull it in, and then bring it down and open it up. And so even if you're going to the extended leg variation, spend a moment here to open that hip and get that left hip strong. So tuck the left hip in and get those glutes going as you try and open that right knee. And then maybe you try and reach down for just the ankle. Maybe you get to the ankle. Maybe you get to the big toe. If not, who cares? Maybe you stretch it out. Maybe that arm can float up. Come back to center. Release that foot if you have it. Float it back to your warrior two or warrior three, sorry. And fingers to the floor, bend that left knee. Bring that right hand into center. And let's just start at the hip with that left hand as we start to twist that shoulder open. You might have to reposition that right hand, so it's nice to go slow. Reach through that right leg. Open that left arm if you can. Maybe you can gaze to the left and straighten the left leg. Maybe not. It's a lot. Inhale, exhale, bend the knee if it's not already. Bring that left hand down, open to the right. Repositioning of the block there if you're using the block into our balancing half moon. And our last warrior two. Oh, thank God. Soften those shoulders, reach out through those fingertips, sink it low, open that knee, reverse it, breathe, side angle. How low can you go? And bring that right hand to the floor, open to the left, in our Vashisthasana. Last one. If you came into 5-pointed star on the other side, you can give it a go on this side. And around to plank. Knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Cobra or up dog. Eventually finding our last downward facing dog. And drop those knees down. Find extended child's pose or child's pose. Whatever feels right and good for your body in this moment. Find that breath. And lift the head. Walk the hands towards you. Just shift off to one side so you can come on around to seated. And stretch those legs on up. Grab a drink if you need one. I do. Of course, I crawl over to the table. All right, let's stretch it on out into our Paschimottanasana. We've got those hamstrings nice and warmed up. Use that strap if you need it, or just the outside of the hips, right? If you're really tight here, even though they're warmed up, it doesn't mean that you've gained 12 degrees of flexibility over in just a matter of one practice, right? So you still might need a little help here. Pushing from the hips or using your strap. Going as deep as feels good. And let's release. Scooch those hips forward and come on down onto your back. Draw those knees into the chest. Give a little rock. Let's float that right leg to the floor, all the way down. Pull that left knee in. Close the eyes if they're not already. Find the breath. And pull it in just a little more. And then draw that right leg down if you're not already. And reach through the heels to get that right leg active. And then float that left foot up and bring the left knee off to the side a little bit. Grab the calf or the ankle, whatever you can grab, and push that knee down towards the floor underneath the armpit, kind of like right along the sides, like you're trying to get it underneath that armpit as you root down into that right leg. So feel that right hip and that right front of the thigh really pressing downward as you push down on that left ankle. If you can easily get the foot, feel free to use the heel. But try and keep this nice straight line from the knee to the ankle if you can. So the ankle's floating right above the knee. And just press down as you root down into that right leg for our happy baby. And then release. Bring that right knee into the chest. Just pause there for a moment. And let's activate that left leg. Reach through the heel, draw that thigh and knee down as you find your half happy baby on this other side. And take a moment to find that just right place for your body to stay active in that left side. Keep the eyes closed and just notice the pose. And when you're ready, kick that left foot up into happy baby. Don't rock yet. Find the pose first. So again, ankles, calves, whatever you can find to push down those knees. We're trying to get those knees a little closer to the floor, but then take the back of the hips and sink it into the floor. So try and glue that. That might make you come out of the pose a little bit. That's okay. Try and root down into the center of the back of those hips as you push down. And then feel free to rock if that feels good. And release. Bring those feet to the floor, scooch the feet all the way together, and then open the knees on up. Keep scooching those feet in so the bottoms of the feet end up against each other as you drop those knees open into reclined butterfly. Draw the belly button down as you flop the arms open. Close the eyes again. And just focus on letting the legs get heavier and heavier, more relaxed. And then slowly start to lift those knees together. And think about anything else the body might need, maybe a twist. Maybe that one where we just drop the knees to the side, bring that opposite foot on top and stretch that out. That might feel really good right now, or anything else. Whatever you're doing, maybe finish with a quick knees to chest, just to center everything off. Take your time finishing up whatever the body needs. And think about the position that your body might want today for your final relaxation. Again, take a moment to do whatever feels needed. So take a moment to wiggle the body, adjust, find that just right place. Maybe give the jaw a little wiggle, give the shoulders a little wiggle. Get everything to relax. Eyes are closed. Face is soft. Shoulders are melting. Legs are relaxing. If you're in Shavasana, just feel those pinky toes drop towards the floor. Feeling those inner calves and inner thighs spin open. We're not forcing them, just letting those feet get really relaxed and heavy to help gently pull the legs open a little bit. It's not even so much about getting the legs open. We don't care about that. What I care about is getting those legs really relaxed. And feeling the hips and buttocks relax. The belly, the ribs, the heart softens. And those shoulders relax even more. Feeling the eyes settle down into their sockets. And shifting your awareness to the breath. Finding a nice, slow, long, deep breath. Coming back to this idea of feeling the breath move downward towards the hips, towards the pelvis, and upward to the throat, to the crown, feeling it stretch out from sitting bones to crown, and then slowly feeling it work its way back into center. Inhaling, feeling that stretch, that expansion from top to bottom. And then that release, that drawing back inward towards center. Find your own rhythm. Those breaths can be really slow and long. It can be a little faster, whatever pace, whatever rhythm feels right for you. And adding mantra or repeated saying to the breath so you can keep with that visualization of that stretching as you add a mantra or repeated saying to that, where you can let that kind of stretchy breath, if you will, you can let that breath go and just breathe and just come into mantra or affirmation or counting even. Counting is nice with that breath. So if you're staying with that stretchy breath, maybe counting so that as you stretch the rubber band out from end to end, you count, and then when you come back in, you want to end on the same count. So just take a moment to find something that works for you here, with our intention, our goal being to stay present in this moment, to be here and not let our minds wander off to our to-do list, and to relax really is our ultimate goal. To let go of the world outside us just for a moment. Noticing where the mind is at in this moment. Bring it back for a couple more breaths here. And letting any mantra or counting or even breath focus go, and shift your awareness back to the body. And just noticing how the body feels in this moment. And as you feel ready, slowly allowing movement to make its way back in to the body. Slowly, intentionally stretching, wiggling, moving. Eventually stretching, wiggling, moving your way upright to seated. Take your time. Keep your eyes closed if you can as you journey upward. And allowing those hands to land together at the heart. And finding that long spine as you tuck the chin. Find that breath again. Breathe it right in here to the heart center. Let the corners of the lips lift up towards the ears. Take a nice inhale. Let them lift a little higher and bow down in gratitude. Let that heart fill with gratitude in this moment for this opportunity. Give yourself a little thank you for showing up here on your mat.